Shock would be an understatement. And, Skip, I'm going to use a few cliches here because I believe they've opened Pandora's box. They've chosen to go down this slippery slope, and there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. There was a play and we're going to talk about this because you harped on this play so much, the Bradley Roby play, and that now it's in. But there's a play that happened in the Super Bowl that might have changed the way we look at this, but moving forward. Skip, the problem that I have is that they basically said because PI is a spot foul, they used it as, well, this is the most punitive of all the plays.
Well, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
It is. But, so what about defensive holding? Does that not mean it's... Because if I'm a coach, Skip, this is what I'm going to do moving forward. I'm not even worried about the first or second quarter. I'm saving all my challenges. I'm saving them for the fourth quarter because I know I'm going to get one. Because this thing, I think I've gotten off the field. We played great defense, and my wide receiver coach, he grabbed me. He passed it, he PI'd me. Challenge. And then, and I know what Skip Bayless is going to say. There's going to be some calls this year, Jenny. I know him. I know this man very, very well. That's a play on. You've got to let him play. Oh, no. Oh, no, you don't got to let them play. You wanted this.
Okay, you can challenge and be wrong, too.
You could be, but I can challenge him to be right. What you going to, Skip, what you going to do on Hail Marys? Now, that's going to be a nightmare. Now, at the end of the half and at the end of the game when guys are just throwing the ball up, now you're going to get the ball on the 1 yard line with a chance to get a touchdown.
Did they blow that call in the New Orleans game? Yes. Everybody in the known world, I don't know about the unknown world, but the known world, everybody, including my dog Hazel, thought that was a bad call. Am I right?
It was a bad call.
It was the all-time worst call.
It was an egregious call.
Can it be fixed? No, it cannot be fixed. Can it now be fixed?
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, DJ Healy, can you drop that track from the Super Bowl? There's a play I want Skip Bayless to see from the Super Bowl that this would have been PI.
Do
we have? Hold on. What we thought was a great play would have been PI, and the ball would have been right there, Skip Bayless.
I'm not even sure about that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's a debatable one. That's a 50-50.
No, they've already said
will the known world say that's pass interference? I don't think so.
I'm just telling you what came out of yesterday's meeting.
All right, okay.
That play would have been a PI, and the ball...
You don't know that for sure.
That's what they said.
No, they didn't. They said you can challenge it.
Skip.
Well, now they're going to look at it and they'll say, well, it's close. It's close.
PI 7-7. We got a different ball game, so I don't know. Super Bowl 53 might be changed.
Was that the last play of the game?
Skip.
No.
Stop.
Okay, I'm going to give you that. If I were upstairs in the booth as the sky judge, we don't have a sky judge yet, but if I could replay that call, I would say that's pass interference, and I would give you first and goal at the whatever it was.
If you don't mind me asking, was that play in the New Orleans game, was that the last play of the game?
It would have been.
No, it wouldn't.
Well, I mean, it would have ended the game.
But you had a chance. You said you overcome that, but that's neither here nor there. The problem that I have, Skip, if especially, and they said Coach Belichick, Andy Reid, Jason Garrett really got behind Sean Payton. But Skip, a lot of it has to do with, you look at the guys who they have at tight end. If I'm Gronk, I'm coming back. How do you officiate Gronk now, Skip, with this rule in place? How? It was already talking about, well, he's like Shaq because he's so hard to officiate. Is it offensive pass interference?
Right.
Is it defensive pass interference? Skip, I don't really like the subjective nature of this. And you limit it to just PI. So, in other words, defensive holding or illegal contact, because those are game-changing plays also, Skip, for the simple fact they give you first downs and give teams another 3 cracks at you. So that's the problem that I have, is that it's just limited to this. If we're going to be able to challenge PI, can we not challenge defensive holding, offensive holding?
We have to start somewhere. So we start with the most egregious of all the penalties, the most punitive of all the penalties.
Yes.
Over the last 3 years, pass interference made up only 9% of the flags thrown, only 9%. But guess what? They made up 70% of plays that were most impactful on your winning chances, right? So 70%, because they are impactful.
Right.
They change games because it's not the college rule, right?
Right.
The college rule is it's just 15 yards. Sure. So if you get beat, in college, you just reach out and grab the guy and say, I'll take the 15 yards versus this touchdown.
Right.
Yeah, okay. But this can be a 99-yard penalty, right? Effectively, if you could throw it 99 yards, you could have a 99-yard penalty. So point is that I started campaigning for this the moment we opened our show the day after the championship games, because I just want it to maybe not be right, but righter than it was. Because the way it was before, there was no fail-safe. There was no stopgap. There was no checks and balances on a play like that. You couldn't correct it. At least now, and again, it's just for a year, they're going to try it, but I think it will be instituted long-term and permanently.
Are you going to give the officials slow-mo eyes? Are you going to give them slow-motion eyes? Because everything looks bad in slow motion. You know that, right? Well,
you get it right in slow motion is what you get.
Skip!
Okay, but you can be deceived by real motion, real time, because they all got deceived. They all missed the most egregious non-call, the worst blown call in the history of sports.
Skip, three of the officials couldn't have called it. The umpire, the referee, and the side judge on the other side couldn't have made that call.
Okay.
But they did miss it.
I told you from the start you were on the wrong side of this as a Hall of Famer. And I'm sure a bunch of Hall of Famers who are more old school, who are clinging to the way the game is, it's got human error involved in it, and it's just the way football is. And I kept saying, well, I'm new school on this one because I just want it to get as right as it can get. And those owners, they didn't pleasantly surprise me. They pleasantly shocked me yesterday because they all pulled their heads out of the Arizona sand. They're in Phoenix, and they finally made a big, bold change to fix the National Football League and to protect it, maybe to save it from allegations that the games are fixed. Because now that there's more public betting, more legalized betting on pro football, you know and I know that these are the calls where you say, did the refs, are they bought off for this game? And now they can't be, quote unquote, bought off because we have a system in place whereby we review these penalties. And if it's blatantly obvious, obviously, there's some calls where you just say, you know what, we all agree. They missed that one. Mm-hmm. So upstairs, they can do a collective group think on this. You know what? We missed that one. If it's 50-50, that one in the Super Bowl is more 50-50 me. I'm with you on it, but I don't know. You have to have indisputable evidence.
Well, once I see him armbar, it's indisputable.
Okay, well, then that's fine. Okay, well, then let's get it right. Then I'm with you. Let's save the game from itself. Let's do it.
I think myself and some of the other Hall of Famers are looking and questioning, how much more beneficial do you want to make it for the offenses? It's already scaled so heavily in their favor. Mm-hmm. That's why you see the inflated numbers that we're starting to see. So now this is just another element, Skip, that's weighted towards the offense.
Okay. Is it right? Make it right. We have the technology in place. Our fans are now so sophisticated, they have so much technology at their fingertips that they can see what the refs aren't seeing on the field instantaneously.
Yeah, they have the luxury of replay.
Okay? Let's use it. Let's use what we have in 2019, right? 2019, we're all the way up to here, and we had that play happen. That play marred and tainted the Super Bowl.
No, it didn't.
It did. It sent the wrong team to the Super Bowl. And you can't tell me that ratings weren't marred and tainted to some degree by the fact that most people just threw up their hands and said, that league can't get that call right?
13-3.
It's the National Football League.
13-3 marred that Super Bowl.
No, I'm talking about going in. Some people turned it off before they turned it on.
I'm sure a lot of the fans that are New Orleans fans were very disappointed and said, I'm not watching.
Okay.
But I believe that even though the ratings were down as a whole, not just in New Orleans, if that game would have been more interesting, Skip Bayless, more people would have tuned in.
I was on the edge of my seat the whole way. It wasn't over.
Because you were on the edge of your seat because you wanted the Patriots to win. You weren't thinking that this game is interesting.
Well, a lot of people who bet on the game or had some rooting interest, they all have some reason to be rooting.
But
they wanted Brady to lose.
Okay, but was the game interesting? No, it wasn't.
I was fascinated, seriously, from the bottom of my heart.
Jenny said she fell asleep on her couch.
I believe you were. But the majority of people.
Zerline missed that field goal at the end, right? That's when I finally said, okay, it's over. Finally, it's over. You can't, it was 3-3 mid-fourth quarter. And again, I don't care if it's 33-33.
Yes.
I don't. Whoops, I just lost my watch.
Yeah, when it's cheap like that, that's what happens.
It's not cheap.
Yes, it is. That's what
Riled
it
up. You're too riled up about it.
Seiko.
I told you, I get riled up.
They still make those?
They were pretty bored at times.
They still make Seikos?
They still make them.
Yeah.
Want to go with me to buy one right now? If you'll buy it for me. Yeah.
I had one of those in like
I'm
the
not sure
7th
your
grade.
check will cover the Seiko.
I'll take one too.
Skip, for me, look, I get it, Skip. You want to get the play. You want to get as many plays as you possibly can right, many calls as you possibly can right. But I just believe there's still a human element of the ball game, and you can't get. And I know what's going to happen. It's going to happen, and you know it's going to happen. There are going to be some calls that go against these coaches, and this is the game of football, and you got to let them play, and that's a play on.
You mentioned 3 coaches were behind this movement.
Yes.
Guess how many were ultimately behind it?
Oh, all of them.
How about 32 of them? This was 32 coaches banding together and saying, we have to have this. And for the first time I can ever remember in the history of league meetings, this was the opposite, where the coaches forced a new rule on the owners. It's always the owners forcing a rule change on the unwanted rule change on coaches who are throwing up their hands saying, you can't do that to us.
But Skip,
they don't have final say.
But